Got a dream in a tea last night, watched the world fade out of sight. Seen the ghosts of time preside, eagles soared and falcons cried. Sleeping phoenix on a rise. Abundance in strange disguise. Hello, and welcome to Phoenix Rising. Education. Education is one of those things that's really extraordinary because it is something that we've always acknowledged as being of essential importance. If we do not as a species educate our young, then our young are going to have fewer and fewer opportunities and less possibility that they're going to be able to thrive and continue our line. Everything about us as a species is about communicating to each other. It's about making sure that we are properly prepared to live on this plane. A number of weeks ago, I was in Amsterdam teaching, and one of the things that I encountered was in an interview, a lot of discussion about how to take the knowledge of human design and to bring its value to the educational system. And I wasn't very encouraging. And I wasn't very encouraging because I understand the dilemma of that. See, we are still in the cross of planning. It's the cross of planning that institutionalized education. And the institutionalization of education was based on strategic formulas. At least half of the children born at any given moment are carrying what is not strategic, but what is receptive potential in terms of the way in which they operate on the mental plane. Their whole process of taking in information, digesting it, and being able to express it is entirely different from the way in which the educational system has been designed. It just is. So many of our children are placed at an extreme disadvantage in the way in which our school systems, in the way in which education programs are actually not just simply designed, but the way in which they're taught, the way in which the children are organized. Yeah, I would love to be able to change the way young people are educated. It would be an extraordinary thing. But it is not something, coming from someone like me who is a 5-1, it is not practical. It is not practical because you cannot transform the child until the parents are transformed. I mean, you can't. You know, it is one of the things to recognize about the nature of conditioning. You know, without an awareness as guidance in your life as a young being, there's very little one can do. Oh yes, you can open up the possibility of, you know, what may be for them. You can give them tips, as I do, on how to function in different environments based on their design. But in terms of the way in which children are raised, in which parents are ready to accept the way they're educated, you cannot just change that. And they're not about to wake up. They aren't. This is what I can tell you about education. First of all, you yourself, when you can enter into this process, that you can operate correctly as a being, that there are always going to be those in your life that are going to be ready for what you can offer them. It is one of the great privileges of my work that so many of the beings that I've worked with are mothers. And it has had an enormous impact on their lives and the lives of their children. We cannot change the institutions. And the institutions themselves are not going to survive because the cross of planning, when it disappears, will take them down with it. Not overnight, piece by piece, slowly, that whole system of education will disappear. What's important is what this knowledge offers. Access to your own authority. To your own authority. And in your own authority, to be able to do what you can for those that are dear to you, to educate them in their own nature, to guide them and nourish them according to who they are, and to make them aware of the challenges of the environments that they are forced to be a part of. That as themselves operating correctly, that they can navigate through without damage, and that they can thrive ultimately in those environments. Cannot change the system. Human design is not about being a revolution. It's about one person at a time. That's all. And if it's your child, wow, good for you. All right, well, welcome to the show, and let's move along.
Hello and welcome to Sharing, Supporting, Empowering. Today I want to illustrate through my own example the deep, deep helplessness to which all human beings are subject by their predisposition to be conditioned. And if you look at my design, you will see that, I have 6 channels defined, 4 of them part of the collective group, so you can see that I'm a real sharing type. And then you can see I have the 3740, and that's my nodal polarity, so everything about my trajectory in life is deeply conditioned by, my perception of need and my personal way of dealing with supporting others and being supported by others. And then you see I have the 3828, and that's, the channel of struggle, and that provides me with a way of measuring out, what or who can be empowering for me in my search or need for purpose, or who feels rather disempowering for me. Now, imagine, I'm here and I'm all for empowering or not, supporting or not, sharing or not. And imagine me before human design, before I knew, this triple split, scattered, looking for love and direction, not knowing when enough is enough, not knowing, when to share, what you need, who you are supporting, why you're suddenly struggling with someone. Not knowing anything about this, the mess, the inner mess, because suddenly, you can see the way this works. Need is always much, much deeper, You can see that I'm in my not self, I'm going to be, dealing with a lot of people that are not necessarily empowering a sense of purpose, just empowering struggle and resistance, And that there's going to be a lot of logical chit-chat and this and that, or what makes sense for you and what is clear for me, and all of that, until there is this moment where enough frustration builds up in that sacral, and I'm going to be identified with, being the carrier of those energies in my process, where my tribal ratcheting wave is just at some point going to break out, given my natural volatility, and there is going to be a sharing, that is going to be empowering and disempowering, and it's going to be what people need or not. It's just what happens, and nobody knows, everybody's going to look for a way to excuse themselves and blame someone else. Or excuse everybody, and blame yourself, but it's going to feel very dark, and miserable. I mean, I'm still the same person I was before human design, and I still have the same predisposition, but now, even in my worst times of confusion, I know what's going on. Because you see, I'm not looking to fix anything that is undefined. I learned to just watch and trusting my inner authority, my feelings over time, to just make decisions, about what matters and what makes a difference for me. And let me tell you, need, you know, I know now that need is my motivation. I know that for my form, it's all a matter of taste. It's my cognitive root. And I know that for my personality, it's all a matter of motivation, need. And I know that need now is not what I need or what you need. It's just what's necessary to keep being in the flow. And it's my recognition of whether, you know, my tone is doing its action, whether there is something I need to do or there is nothing I need to do. And that's all I do. Just watch it all nicely unfold, you know, the beauty of sharing, empowerment, and supporting, or not, because always there's this nice or not in human design. All right. It was a real pleasure to share this with you. I hope it was empowering for some of you at least, and for others, well, I hope it was something of what you need. Until next time, to all of you, Jolly Flow.
Hello there, welcome to your weekly neutrino forecast, and we are in the time of rulership. That is, we've got the sun in the 26th gate and the earth in the 45th gate, and these are a polarity that's part of this cross of rulership. The 26th gate is really something quite extraordinary because it has the power to influence through its ego strength. It can be the great, a salesperson, and of course the 45 is the leader of the tribe. In this time of the cross of rulership, a lot of people are going to be caught in deep exaggeration because they want something. You know, the moment that the program gives you the 45th gate, everybody's going around saying what they don't have or what they have. Everybody is interested in expressing things materially. And what we're going to have a change is that when we're going to get to the 18th, what we're going to get to is a shift to one of the most extraordinary polarities in the wheel. That is the 11th gate and the 12th gate. And a little later in Who Says, I'm going to give you a real description of that. But so important to understand polarities, these oppositions in the wheel. If you really want to have a fascinating study, study this mandala, because it's really magical. If you look at any opposition in the wheel and you look at their original I Ching chops, you know, the 6 lines, you'll see they're exact mirrors of each other no matter where you go. The mandala is truly a beautiful thing. There is one thing, though, to keep in mind this week. At the end of the week, Pluto is going to leave the 58-1, the joyous, the love of life, and it's going to enter into the line of perversion. And the line of perversion is a very odd thing. Think about the way the logical process works. The logical stream, the 58th gate to the 18th gate, the channel of judgment, then going to the 48th gate to the 16th gate, the channel of talent. This is judgment moving upwards, working with patterns, perfecting them, challenging them, finding solutions, finding the skills necessary to be able to express them. And that 16 and that 48 and that 18, they're all waiting for that 58 to deliver the energy they need. And when the energy is in the second line, it says, no, I don't want to give you my money. I'm going to give my money to who you think is an idiot. I'm going to give my energy over here. Oh, this is a time when people really get upset. You know, this is a time when people that are waiting for a grant, you know, this kind of thing in which you do all this theoretical research and now all you need is money in order to get it implemented or tested. Not during Pluto in 58-2. In Pluto in 58-2, your idea that would revolutionize whatever is going to be bypassed for something that appears to be to you rather idiotic. Oh, don't get caught up in this movie because you get caught up in, well, the heartache that's so natural to the not-self plane. We're not here to be driven by the program. We're not. truly. We're here to live in the Maya, to glide through the Maya, aware beings, operating not out of some kind of conditioned, strategic this and that, but operating out of our own inner authority. An inner authority that allows us to move on this plane no matter what's there in the wheel. Never forget that. Yet at the same time, understand that the world is in its thrall. Pluto in the 58-2, it's going to stop the flow of energy. It's going to shift priorities. And it's not going to make those who lose that energy happy. Ah, yes, the weather. But you know, when you live this life as yourself, it is a pleasure. Sleeping Phoenix is so much about the coming of the end of one cycle and the beginning of another cycle. The opening up of a new door, a mutation that's coming to the solar plex system. You know, one of the things that we get to see in today's neutrino weather is this extraordinary opposition of the 11 and the 12. We had a mutation, an earlier mutation, also rooted in this individual stream that runs from the 39 to the 55, the 55th gate abundance, where the present mutation is taking place, to the 22nd gate and to the 12th gate. If we go back between 85 and 90,000 years ago, there was an extraordinary mutation that took place. It's called the dropping of the larynx. And this dropping of the larynx, the opening up of or expansion of the human vocal chamber, opened up the possibility for what I'm doing with you. That is, this extraordinary manipulation of sound that you understand, that has meaning, that can be translated, that can be transmitted to you. It's the great human gift, after all. I mean, imagine the cacophony of stepping into an environment where you do not know the language. I know such an experience many, many times in my life. There are all these sounds, all these frequencies, all these modulations, and yet they're a mystery if you do not have a way to penetrate them. 85 to 90,000 years ago in a female was a mutation that took place in the 12th gate, the gate of articulation, this opening up of the vocal chamber. This was something truly extraordinary. It allowed us to be able to not simply create the nuances that we would ultimately come to describe as language, but the polarity, the opposition, because oppositions are so expressive. The other side of the 12, the 11, the gate of peace in the Ajna Center, the gate of ideas, the gate of history. Through this combination of the opening up of the vocal chamber and this nuancing and modulation of sound that would become language, we opened up an enormous conceptual program, ideas, the storage of concepts, the storage of the past, because the abstract is about the past. So in the 11-12, in this opposition, in essence, we had the thing that made us what we are, what gave us the tools to be able to reach this place in our evolutionary process. But always important to remember something. This gift of being able to communicate, this storing of history, it gives each and every one of us access to the potential of discovering ourselves. Here we are. Here is your opportunity as a being to discover the true essence of what it is to be here on this plane. Follow your strategy and authority.
Got a dream in a tear last night, watched the world fade out of sight. Seen the ghosts of time preside, eagles soared and falcons cried. Sleeping phoenix on the rise. dense and strange the skies.